Hey there again. So I'm not sure exactly what happened in my last video, but we were in the process of adding dimension lines to this extra piece of stone when all of a sudden my recording stopped. I don't know why. Anyways, I'm gonna try to splice these videos together. So if it's strange that I'm talking about in my previous video, but it's the same video, that's what happened. So now you know. So essentially, the video cut out, and I finished the drawing and finished the layout, and I didn't realize that it was no longer recording. So you missed out on some stuff, unfortunately. But so the video cut out where we were adding dimension lines to this piece, and then we went back to our layout view, and we essentially moved some stuff over. We added an extra space over here to add this special piece to the overall shop drawing. And yeah, that's pretty much it, other than some notations that I made. And I guess I'm glad that we came back to the drawing because I didn't label this properly. When I copied these over and relabeled some of these things, I forgot to change the detail number. As you can see, I just copied this one, moved it over. It should be detail 5. Okay. Yeah, pretty much. That's what you missed. You missed the final layout view, but everything else was already done, and you have a good idea and a good grasp of what we did here. But essentially what you're looking at is a final product. I did add a notation over here on the model view. I added this notation, which is up here in our leader tool. So I clouded this and I added a notation. Essentially, we're trying to communicate with not only the architect, but also the masons or the installing contractor. We're trying to communicate the fact that all of our pieces are going to be manufactured at a standard size, and that they are going to be responsible for cutting anything in the field, such as in intersections and end units. And it's really important to try to communicate that as effective as possible. And that's basically what I'm trying to do here, is to let them know, hey, at at these intersecting points, these intersecting points, or the end unit, they're going to be responsible for making that final cut to make it work. Otherwise, all of the pieces will be a standard 2'4". Okay. Well, you know what? I guess I'm glad I'm back here anyways. We need to add some dimensions. We go ahead and add some dimensions just to make it look a little bit better to this final wall. It looks like, yeah. So we're gonna add some dimensions here. That way the architect knows we're all on the same page. Now, hopefully it won't get too distracting for the architect and or installing contractor, but in essence, the point of adding these dimensions is just to assist in the approval process and installation process. And if you'll notice that the lines that I am selecting are the actual brick lines for these dimensions. And that way it's not confusing for the architect, because sometimes the architects can be idiots. Now the smaller dimensions obviously are the dimensions of our cast stone, just to be able to provide the mason with an idea of, okay, hey guys, this is a standard 2'4" piece, and this is more or less how it's going to lay out. The larger dimensions that I've placed are the actual dimensions that the architect provided us, the brick dimensions from face of brick to face of brick that he provided us on these drawings. Oops, sorry. And that way the architect can look at those dimensions and say, yeah, makes sense. Those look like my dimensions. All right, so now that that's done, go back to our layout sheet. This is done. This is a completely done layout sheet. I'm going to, this is the problem that you get into when you start adding a bunch of dimensions. I'm going to have to go back and shrink these 2-foot dimensions because they're getting in the way of some of the labels and other things, which is unfortunate, but you don't want to go doing that. So, oops, sorry. So select those. We're going to shrink those down a little bit, maybe to like a 64 maybe. If I can find the 64. Ah, here it is. Yeah, 64 is good. It can still be seen. Hopefully it won't be in the way. And these are all dimensions that I've created over the time. These are all custom dimensions that I've created. And you can, if you're familiar with AutoCAD, which hopefully you are, you can create your own dimensions as well. It's pretty easy. All right, so looks like that's good. Correcting or shrinking those dimension lines helped out a little bit. And that way it's not all whackety whack. All right, and this page is done. So typically once you're done labeling everything and laying everything out, making sure everything is correct and your piece count is correct and everything is good, the next step would be to double check your job name, make sure that's all correct. The date, you would change the date and to when you finish the drawing, which would be today. Once all that information down here is deemed correct, then you would obviously save your drawing, print your drawing, and or to PDF, and start emailing everything out for the submittal process. Okay, well that'll be today's lesson. If you'd like it to be, I'm going to go ahead and start another video on the coping on top of this wall. If you remember correctly in the previous video, what we were drawing here is just the water table. So the next video, we will be drawing the coping that sits on top of this wall. Okay? All right, y'all have fun. We'll see you next time.